Republicans have been praising Donald Trump's billionaire fundraiser as a way to attack Joe Biden for his celebrity star-studded event. First, you have Lauren Boebert saying, it took Biden 2 former presidents, Lizzo and Stephen Colbert, to raise 25 million in one night. Trump threw a house party with no headliners and raised 50 million. It's pretty clear where the momentum is. And I love that for so many reasons. First of all, it's a house party at Mar-a-Lago. That is technically his house. It's a resort. What do you think a house party? Lauren Boebert has been to some house parties. I know that she's been to some house parties. And I love that she just slammed every right-wing celebrity that went there as not being a headliner. Also, that's exactly right. That's amazing. You raise $50 million, sure. I mean, Sheldon Adelson routinely gives $100 million during elections. That's not what you're pretending it is. And it's certainly not a sign of momentum that some billionaires signed fat checks so they can get bigger tax cuts. That's not momentum, that's an investment, that's all that is.
Before we continue with the story, we depend on members to keep on going. Don't wait, click join now on YouTube.
100%. I mean, in the same breath, they'll say that they're the party of like, everyday people and they're populists and working Americans. And what about that? Like, yeah, exactly. They got to 50 million thanks to 8 billionaires, or maybe even 5, 4, who knows, right? Whereas you don't even think about the small dollar donations. There's a reason that Bernie Sanders, for example, would consistently tout the small dollar donations. It shows you that your movement is broad, but that the people who support you are not necessarily billionaires, ergo they're not the elites, ergo they're not the swamp, they're not the establishment, and on and on and on. But I love, a house party with no headliners is actually a perfect description for MAGA and for the entire Trump administration. All it is a messy house party and nobody really knows why we're here. 100%. There's no great delivery. There's nothing incredible about this. It's just a mess.
It's a mess. Also, house party with no headliners, not a bad bar trivia name for a team. Yeah. But anyway,
no, yes.
So I will remind everyone though, $50 million is a lot of money, but that doesn't mean it's $50 million for the election. He has other expenses to pay for, and I'm not the one bringing this up. Fox and Friends actually brought that up.
During that report, we were talking about how can this money be spent? Can it be used on legal fees?
But the point for now is this remarkable amount of money raised in one night, especially as when compared to the 3 presidents raising money here in New York City for Joe Biden.
We're talking about, can he use some of this money for his legal? I mean, this is all part of this election interference thing that Donald Trump has to, Joe Biden raises money, all his money gets to go to campaign, and all his mind space, whatever's left of it, goes to, running a campaign. Donald Trump, has to go to court cases all over because they're waging lawfare against him. There's this debate about, they're trying to take all his money, and can he use some of this to fund, the legal fees? All of this is part of that election interference, and it's what, you look at that guy right there on the screen, he's fighting with one hand tied behind his back because he's got the system fighting him as well.
That is so utterly pathetic for an adult to pretend that that is what's going on, that he has to do all of this because they're doing lawfare. No, he has to do all of this because he raped E. Jean Carroll. And he stole those classified documents, and he tried to overturn the results of an election. He did all of those things because the Trump organization lied about the value of their properties to get lower interest rates at banks. These are all specific crimes that he is alleged to have committed, that there is incredibly compelling evidence that he committed. He did the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. I know that you want to pretend that all of these things didn't happen, that it's all just been conjured up by Hunter Biden or something. Every single one of those things happened, most of them in plain sight. They're not debatable. What's debatable is, can a billionaire actually get in trouble for doing stuff like that? And much of that remains to be seen. Any final thoughts about this before we move on?
Yes, just to what you're saying. I think a bigger lie than the big lie that Donald Trump supposedly won the 2020 election is the lie that somehow the system is going after Trump for his crimes and that he is persecuted. That to me is the biggest lie of all, because it is just so, the idea that he is just an average Joe doing nothing wrong, and that the leftist judges in this country, in this sort of well-documented Marxist judicial system that we live under, is going really hard at Donald Trump is wild to me. I'm more apt to believe you if you're like, oh, I just think Donald Trump won the 2020 election. Okay, you can believe that. But if you truly believe that all of these indictments are just coming from some sort of, they just have it out for him, I'm like, oh, honey, Oh, honey, you are so lost. I think this is a bigger trick that they're pulling on their base than the big lie is.
This is the system defending the guy he's going to give them tax breaks too. Every one of those hosts wants to. And the only question is there any line? Is there any line that they will not defend him on? Like he commits crimes, and he commits so many crimes that they have to come up with a concept that this is an election interference or whatever. If he bombs Portland, if he rounds up Congress people and guns them down, like, is there a line where they will not say that he was forced to do this by the trans commies? I don't know. Stay tuned to the next 4 years of America to find out. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?